comments on agenda items?
We have 5. The first 3 speakers will be Todd Madison, Emily Richmond, and Justin Moody.
All right, well, thank you. So thanks again to the board for graciously allowing the Plebeians to speak to you. We know how difficult it is here. That significant, repetitive, infected voice ad infinitum. We'll continue to do our best to make parents aware of the district's parent-unfriendly attitude when considering providing with their children, along with the money that comes with them. So 6P, Library Book Awards. I haven't been particularly involved in the library book controversy here. You may have seen my commentary published on Account Matters a few days ago discussing the misuse of the phrase banning books and the characterization of opposition to obscenity in our school libraries as hate. Both are just rhetoric to appeal to those who want to avoid thinking, including certain retiring teachers who have compared concerned parents to Nazis. But I hope the district has learned something and is not including books with adult content warnings or pornographic graphics in this batch. Item 5CC, Supervisors of Math. So I saw this on the agenda. Just wanted to congratulate Mr. Nang. My oldest daughter is a bit of a math wizard. She's now an environmental scientist at California EPA. Says, and I quote, Mr. Nang is one of the best. So thank you for that. Glad to see OUSD taking improvement of math instruction seriously. Less than a third of our kids testing proficient in math. That seems like a priority. 7A, bond financing. So I'm just mentioning this because it's a perfect example of what's wrong with this process that I'm going through right now, with the actions taken by the board to stifle public input in meetings. It's virtually impossible to comment on this without seeing the presentation. How would I say anything useful? The presentation was not posted in the agenda, which is a pretty clear way for our board to say, and district to say, we don't really care what you have to say. We're going to do whatever we want anyway. Ditto for number 9D, the interim budget. I assume it will include the always riveting presentation of what's happening in our financials by Dr. Norman, but of course I can't comment on that because I haven't seen it. I'm not sure whether this report includes anything built in to accommodate the labor demands happening now or revenue cuts that we'll see as a result of the state's deficit announcement. I don't know if there's any prediction in there where the union apologizes to employees in the district who will need to be laid off in the future for considering their bonus raise more important than staff jobs. I'll look forward to the budget presentation. 10A, board policy district residency. So just a note on this one to highlight the fact that we can see the anti-parent focus of the district on display here. Everyone should take a look at the marked up copy in the board agenda. Note that most of the changes relate to striking the word shall from clauses involving parent notification, replacing that with the word may. Those are significantly different. It means the superintendent won't be, God forbid, forced to notify parents of all the attendance options in the district, but only to do that if she feels like it. So we know how that will go. Thank you very much.
I'll just say a couple of words on 6Z, the school plan for student achievement. I'm, again, very disappointed with the Board of Education that did not ask for the presentation to be transparent to the community and to the parents. Item 6Y, I was told it's a great program. It's been a beautiful program. I've spent many nights enjoying Colette and her mother Sherry do a fantastic job, and they always have since 1992. My question is, if it's going to be spoken to, is why did you wait? It was not done in 2021. There was no ballet for political. There was no ballet for political 2022-23. Why did you wait so long? Why did you have our kids not being able to participate? As a grandmother, I loved my grandson would sing and dance the ballet for political. How many grandmothers missed that? And will miss it from now on. My question is also, too, is $89 per dancer. And since then, 2020, right after COVID, we've done many, many things as far as budget. $750,000 to Panorama, these surveys that teachers are supposed to look at. They don't have the time to look at. They know what their kids are all about. We have our Department of DEI that you established, we have the coordinator that you established, you had secretaries. So all this money was going to people. What about our kids? So my question is, why did it take so long? And again, with budget cuts, I do not want to see this program cut. There's other things you can cut. There's a lot of...
Emily, I don't want to interrupt you, and you can stop the timer. We're pulling that item just to vote on it separately.
Right.
Raquel's going to recuse herself from voting on it, but the board will still take action and vote on that item.
Right.
And the recommendation is that it moves forward.
Right, okay. Yeah, I thought she was going to say some more good stuff about it, so that's what I was going to ask. Since you're pulling it and you're going to discuss it, that you could answer some of my questions, because I know what I was.
And she's pulling it just to recuse herself.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure you do that. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you for that explanation. Again, this is a great program, and I don't want to see it go. Also, there's another piece of this, is the mariachis. We have the mariachis. Some of you that don't know that we did. We started at Mission Elementary School. The kids were great. We made uniforms. We had an instructor that would come. The problem was when those kids went to Jefferson Middle School back in 2018, whoever was in charge did not want to change the time of Jefferson so that the instructor could go from Mission to Jefferson. And so that mariachi program died. It died. So there's, again, you talk about social-emotional learning. Some of our kids could be engaged. We've got wonderful activities. Why not for our 60% of our Mexican kids? Why are we so specified with and worrying about inclusion and all these things when we don't have these programs? And again, we need the mariachis back. We need our kids in this instrumental realm. We have people out there, and we need to get to make sure that that's not going to be cut. It's going to get ugly. And I know there's a lot of, again, district people, mid-management people that you brought on that when I look at the board agenda, I see all the money that's been reimbursed for travel. All these people that are in classrooms, they're not dealing with the students. So there's a lot of that going on. Thank you.
Just real quick, on that, just to share with you, this has been an ongoing conversation about the Cocorico. It is, I don't know if you know, it is a huge passion of mine. We actually have Colette Leyva here, who is actually the instructor for that and the director of that.
Again, I was there when they started in 1992, so I know exactly. If you have anything in their room where they have all their costumes and all their
Right.
things, I can borrow them.
So having that all back again is
Yes.
amazing for our kids. The first day back,
Yes.
there was a huge number of kids, and it was
Yeah.
great to see. As far as the mariachi goes, she has actually got that going also. That I think it starts February or March. January.
Yeah.
That we're looking at it for coming back. So it is a process.
Good.
Obviously for everything, and you know the process that everything takes, and it's never tomorrow like I want it to be. But it is because arts are a huge thing that a student needs, and it's also, and you know and I know, that it's a huge thing for our students, especially in this community, to be able to have, to stay focused, not only on their educational part of it, but on their social-emotional. So having these programs back are very important, and we're working very diligently on getting different ones back that need to have that focus. So thank you for your passion for that as well, because we've been calling you saying we need some kind of thing, but it is a thing that is what we're moving forward with at this point in time.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being that. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Lovely to see you all here tonight. My name is Justin Moody. I believe many of you are aware I teach photography at Oceanside High School. Tonight, I'm here to share a few comments about Proposition 28 and my hopes for the way that OUSD will approach the tremendous opportunity that Prop 28 provides our students now and into the future. Approximately $1 billion has been added to the annual statewide budget exclusively for arts and music in public schools. This is amazing. This year alone, OUSD will receive approximately $2.5 million for the arts. And even more exciting, the arts funding is ongoing, and we will continue to receive a similar budgetary influx from Prop 28 every year from now on. Amazingly, the first funds are scheduled to arrive in February of 2024. As an arts educator, I'm excited to begin planning a future of new learning opportunities for our students. At Oceanside High School, we've already begun to do just that. Our team has been holding regular meetings to devise a plan for the best way that OHS can spend our respective portion of the Prop 28 funds. And herein lies the reason for my presence tonight. California Department of Education is very clear about how these new funds will be distributed to individual school sites. Additionally, it states for each school site, the principal shall develop an expenditure plan for the funds allocated. And the California Department of Education has also made clear that each school can determine which program, our program, or programs it will offer. School administrators, in collaboration with teachers, family, and students, should together make the choice that best serves students in their local school community. These lines were built into Prop 28 to ensure that decisions about newly available funds are made at the site level. In other words, decisions about how to spend Prop 28 funds should not be made by central district leadership, nor should they be made by the board of directors. Please remember, our use of this budget will be audited every year. There are multiple notes in tonight's agenda that refer to the allocation of Prop 28 funds. Some of them have been amended. Let's just remember that the correct way to make decisions about this new funding is at the site level and not here. I ask that you all please take this into consideration tonight and moving forward. Together, let's seek new ways to encourage our site teams to develop their own robust plans. Thank you for your consideration.
Our next speaker is
Justin, thank you for sharing that accurate information. We appreciate it. And on item Y, when we vote on that separately, we'll make it clear that Prop 28 money is not being used for that because we have not received funds. You are correct. We don't receive that to February. So thank you for sharing that correct information.
Our next two speakers is Beth Farnham and Colette Levi.
Good evening. I am speaking on 10C in regards to immunization practices on school premises. The superintendent or designee may arrange for an unauthorized healthcare provider to administer immunizations at schools to students whose parents or guardians consent in writing at the beginning of the school year. It says, if they can, in here it does say, unless medically they cannot receive them. With SB 276, I'm sure most parents are not aware, and SB 714, good luck in getting a doctor to write a medical exemption, because I have a vaccine-injured child that the doctor did not recognize, and that's one of the reasons he can't go to public school. The corrupt California Medical Board made sure that doctors cannot write more than 5 exemptions. I would also caution you to having anyone on campus do any vaccination clinics unless you're going to provide true informed consent. So if you're a parent, like I was, and you went to the doctor's office, you received one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that talked to you about some adverse reactions. Well, here is the MMR vaccine insert, which is measles, mumps, and rubella. It is 15 pages long. No one gets that. On it, it says, the healthcare provider should determine the current health status and previous vaccination history of the vaccine. That's probably not going to happen if you do it on campus. The MMR has not been evaluated for carcinogenic or mutagenic potential or potential to impair fertility. Some of the adverse reactions are measles, encephalitis, which is what my son had, which is brain swelling, seizures, Guillain-Barré, and it goes on. I belong to the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. group, which is called Children's Health Defense, and when the COVID vaccine came out, there were high schools here in San Diego County that provided vaccine clinics on campus. So we went to protest them, and we had some parents walk in, and in Carlsbad High School, the nurse said, if they have it forged, I don't care, it's fine. So you've got kids going in asking for vaccinations, which they have no, I mean, my 15-year-old, he knows now because he was diagnosed with his 12. And we had him understand what happens if he gets another vaccine. It can cause him massive brain injury. The other problem is, unless you have staff on site that is going to help in case an emergency arises, which is what happened at San Diego Academy, a girl passed out, she fell on the floor, they didn't have any paramedics on site, they had to call them in. That girl was unresponsive. So what I'm trying to tell you is don't do it. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education. I would like to thank you for your consideration and ratification of item 6Y, the agreement with Garrison Gems for Ballet Folklorico and Mariachi services. Ballet Folklorico Estrella has been a staple for 30 years in the Oceanside Unified School District and within the Oceanside community. What began at Ditmar School with only 30 dancers has grown to almost 200 dancers since 1992. Unfortunately, in April 2020, due to COVID-19, the group's practices were paused. During that pause, dancers continuously reached out and asked when the after-school program would resume because of the program had left such a void in their lives. Fortunately, today, on behalf of Ballet Folklorico Estrella, I am happy to report that after 1,350 days, our dancers are back at it once more. After just 2.5 weeks since reinstatement of Ballet Folklorico classes, we have over 75 middle school and high school dancers participating in our program. This is a testament to the important role that Ballet Folklorico Estrella plays in offering a culturally significant program to our underserved Hispanic students. We will begin our elementary classes in January for students from 2nd through 5th grade. Along with dance, we are also starting a mariachi program. Mariachi is Estrella de Oceanside. Those practices will also begin in January for 4th and 5th graders, as well as middle school and high school musicians who want to expand their musical experience. Once again, I thank you, board members, for your continued support and advocacy for the arts and for Hispanic culture. I look forward to seeing you at our annual shows in the springtime, where you will have the great pleasure of witnessing the performances of the excellent folklorico dancers and mariachi musicians. Thank you.
The first three speakers will be Emily Richmond, Madison Williams, and Todd Madison.
I'm addressing the school plans for student achievement that was on the consent calendar, but it wasn't a presentation, so that's a non-agendized item. I think for the board, if you've looked at it, it mentions the STAR Renaissance map, the score's there.
Emily, just a sec, on that, we stop the clock real quick. That is not a non-agendized item.
It is non-agendized because it wasn't a presentation, it was under.
But it's still an agendized item even if it wasn't a presentation. So it was an agenda item even if we didn't have to have a presentation with it. So we can't speak on that at this point.
Because it was on. So even though on the agenda, it's what the presentations are, a 7, and this is a 6. It's a different category. Anybody has a parliamentarian here that looks at the,
Every item prior to this item is an agendized item on which you can speak. Every item
But you can speak.
prior to.
You can speak on anything.
You can speak on any non-agendized
So
item.
if she just wants to speak about what she wants to speak about.
On a non-agendized item.
yeah, because it wasn't there wasn't a presentation, was it?
Having a presentation doesn't make an item agendized or non-agendized. Your decision, President Alvarez, but having a presentation doesn't qualify an item as agendized or non-agendized.
Even though it wasn't agendized. Let me talk about something else then. I'd just like to talk about student achievement. And with student achievement, it looks like when there's different things that need to be addressed, certain things that we, as far as the community and parents don't know about, they don't know about any of the comparisons of the Renaissance map, they don't know any comparison of Panorama. I know Panorama, we've had 3 or 4 years. As I understand, there's a spring report. We have not had a spring report in 2023, 2021, 20. Where is that report that tells panorama and how great that is for our kids and all the money that we spend on that? Also, too, as far as any comparisons, I don't think, but maybe had one or two academic presentations last year. And there was no presentations about what we did last year, what you did this year, on any of this stuff. And so as far as a community member, I'm going to have to reach out to Dr. Lawrence and sit down with him and look at these comparisons, because how do they know what they've done and what they haven't done? Also, too, there's they mentioned annual in the paperwork, the annual measurable outcomes, and then there's not any percentages. And as a board, I'm surprised that you don't look at some of this paperwork and pick that out and ask your people to go ahead and present that. Where is that information? So again, looking at comparisons, looking at reports that we spend $1 million with a company that just does surveys, or their reports. I myself would like to see those reports because I have not seen them from the DEI at all. So I don't know what you've done with this. I've looked at other, I read about another school district that looked at Panorama and all the great things that they've done with working with them. I don't see that in our district, so I would like to see that also. Thank you.
Sorry. Ron Madison.
Madison was.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm a parent of 2 children in the district, and I'm also a pediatric occupational therapist. I have a degree in child development, and I specialize in neurodevelopment and sensory processing. I'm here to talk about and urge you all to change your policies for iPad use in elementary schools. First, I'm going to do a little lesson and literature review on neuroanatomy. So, iPad use or extended screen time is a risk for brain development. 5-year-olds, 2 to 5-year-olds should only be having 1 hour of screen time a day, and beyond that, it should only be 2 hours. And with iReady and to be honest, just breaks for teachers, we're getting above the recommended amount of screen time per student. There are studies that show after 20 minutes of screen time, there are high levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, which impacts your health, your mood, and your BMI. That it decreases GABA, a neurotransmitter that is important for mood, sleep, and stress. And then there are studies showing that children are put in an apneic state, which is basically apnea. They're not breathing when they're watching screens, which means less oxygen to the brain, which is very important for school. There's also a correlation to decreased bone density, increased obesity, vision problems, sleep problems, mood disorders, reduced mental reserve, and insulin level changes. I've spoken to many parents in different districts, such as Huntington Beach, Poway, San Diego, San Marcos, Laguna, Irvine, and Orange County, and none of those schools give children access to YouTube or web browsers, and none of those schools let their children take iPads home. So I am asking our district to change their policies and not allow iPads at home, keep them at the school, and take away browsers and YouTube. We can purchase applications that can do all of the things that they need while also keeping them safe from adult information. And I know we have some kind of protective device that helps, but unfortunately, in my daughter's 2nd grade classroom, there was a breach, and children were watching rap videos during their free iPad time and saw little clips of very inappropriate images. They're also searching at home naked people. So, not okay. And then if you think about, we have very vulnerable communities in this district, and if we're sending them home with iPads to, babysit them sometimes, to be honest, they're having even more, being put even more at risk for these things like, oh, dang it. All right, thank you.
All right, so now it's me, right? So, great budget presentation, by the way. It was actually a nice one. So, time to talk about ongoing labor negotiations again. So, just to recap the real numbers from actual OUSD pay records, last year the median total compensation of an OUSD teacher was $128,000 a year. Doesn't include bonus raise given out last December, and that likely gets us to $135,000 right now. It's from your own records. We see the state announcing billions in cuts to education. With that uncertainty, increasing our costs tremendously would be the dumbest financial move we could make, similar to December 2019. So we know our teachers are getting nice six-figure compensation, up to $23,000 more than they would make with the same education in private work. The district proposal, which I support, includes a bonus raise plus a health care plan that would still be free to employees and only cost a fraction of what private workers pay for family coverage. We've seen in the HR numbers, we simply do not have a problem with teachers leaving for higher pay elsewhere. That does not exist. It's a made-up issue. There is no data showing problems with voluntary turnover. As I've always said, I'm very happy we can pay teachers well. I would never advocate that we cut anything there. But maybe it's time that we focus our additional spending on kids. We don't have a problem losing teachers, but we do have a problem in education. Barely 40% of our kids are proficient in English, miserable 29% in math. Let's solve that. As I've said before, what if we focused on improving education instead of improving adult bank accounts? What if we proposed a plan that put significant money, not window dressing, into things that actually benefit kids? Parents and teachers have told us over and over again they would like to see smaller class sizes. What if we put serious money into that? We could easily cut class sizes by several kids per class. I think teachers would like that too. What if we focused pay increases on starting teacher rates? We could easily raise just the bottom tiers by several $1,000s a year. Who thinks teachers should make more? I noticed nobody raised their hands. What if we focused how about funding for classroom supplies? A single-digit percentage of what the union is asking for would give teachers hundreds of dollars a year for supplies. Let's do that. But what we will see is more of what we saw in the last meeting, where our union president stood right here and demanded union members be your first priority in spending. Not our kids, not education, adults and their bank accounts. A different union president once said, when kids start paying dues, I'll start paying attention to kids. Apparently that's part of the curriculum at Union President School. Mrs. Ortega certainly got an A on that test. Seems like there are ways to make this work for both adults and kids instead of just adults this time. We're an organization that supposedly works on behalf of our kids. You represent them. Let's do that. Thank you.
New speakers, Gustavo Barosa, Natalie Sanchez, and Patricia Mendez.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Gustavo Barroso.
Espera un momento, por favor.
Can we get translation, please?
And may I also get 6 minutes on the clock, please? We'll just do the 3 minutes twice and then we'll go from there. That's going to be the easier way to go.
Gracias, ahorita vamos a poner el tiempo.
¿Te vamos a dar 6 minutos? Señor, te vamos a dar 6 minutos para que puedas traducir. Gracias.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Gustavo Barroso. Soy el papá de una estudiante que va a la escuela, la LINI. Y en los últimos 3 meses hemos tenido muchos problemas con mi hija porque alguna persona le ha estado bullying y ella ya no quiere ir a la escuela. Yo tengo que dejar de trabajar para poder en la escuela. Y traté de hablar con la principal, mi esposa. Ella siempre se escondía, decía que no estaba, nunca tenía tiempo para nosotros. Hasta que fuimos al distrito, hablamos, nosotros le dimos la oportunidad a ella para que hablara con nosotros, pero nunca tenía tiempo. Y el día que fuimos al distrito, hablamos, y en lo que llegamos a la casa, nos habló por teléfono, que quería una mini para mañana. Le digo, ¿por qué? Si tuvo la oportunidad de hablar con nosotros, no nos hizo caso, hasta que fuimos al distrito. Y mi hija no quiere ir a la escuela. Ahorita ya está yendo un poquito mejor, pero al principio no quería ir, porque dice que alguien la estaba molestando. Y he oído que no es nomás mi hija, hay muchos niños o padres que se están quejando de lo mismo. Ahorita ya la mandaron allá con un psicólogo, pero al principio no había ayuda. Nosotros queríamos saber qué tenemos que hacer para que pongan atención, porque no es nomás mi hija, son muchos niños. Y por eso no nomás soy yo, hay varias personas que están aquí de la misma escuela. Es todo, gracias.
Gracias. My name is Gustavo Barbosa. I'm the father of a student at Libby. For the last 3 months, we've had a lot of problems with my daughter because there's someone bullying her and she doesn't want to go to school anymore. I've had to stop working to be able to take her to school. I tried speaking to the principal and also my wife, and the principal wouldn't give us time. She would hide. She never had time for us. I had to talk to the district to let them know that we gave her several opportunities, but she never had time for us. That same day as we were coming home after talking to the district, we got a phone call from the principal saying that she would like a meeting for the next day. So it seemed like she didn't pay attention to us until we went there. So my daughter doesn't want to go to school, and it's because someone is bothering her there. And what I've heard is that she's not the only one, that it's not just my daughter. There's a lot of parents that are here for the same reason. She has been sent to see a psychologist, and we want to know what do we need to get the help and to get the attention. Because there's lots of other parents here that are saying that they've heard the same thing from the same school.
Hello, board members. I am here as a concerned community member. As many of you know, Libby Elementary holds a special place in my heart as to why I am here. Libby is up in flames due to poor leadership you have, and you have the power to extinguish the flames before the school burns down. In the past 5 months, the principal has proven poor leadership. The school has become a hostile environment, not only to staff, but parents and volunteers. Children are not safe. We have more parents that will speak more of what I have written. For one example, we had a lockdown, we had a shooting threat. She did not notify staff. One of the parents here she was locked in her office, the whole office was closed, all students were still in the playground. Luckily, it was a false threat. Imagine if it was a real one. Many parents have tried to speak to her due to bullying at Libby. The bullying has been at an all-time high. I could send you emails that I personally have received from parents and staff, how they don't feel comfortable working there anymore. Many times she has mentioned in a closed meeting, she doesn't care what parents, teachers, or students say. She is the principal, and whatever she says goes. We have 2 sped aides that have not had a teacher for the past 2 to 3 months. She is not supportive in there. They are in their planning. No support at all. Ms. Alvarez, you know the difficulty of being part of a PTO, how much support you need from your principal. At the beginning of the year, there was over 25 parents that had a meeting with her and complained about other going on issues. PTO parents were there. They are parents first. Because of this, she has retaliated against PTO, does not let them fundraise properly. She has sabotaged many things for them to not fundraise. I ask you to please do an anonymous survey for parents, staff, and students, so you could see the leadership that she's having, the poor leadership she's having there. Because this school, as I said, is going to burn down if you don't do anything. Thank you.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Patricia, tengo un estudiante en Living, vengo a hablar sobre el bullying porque pienso que la escuela debería de ser un lugar seguro para nuestros hijos, si no lo es. Se han presentado más de 15 casos últimamente de bullying en la escuela, donde se ha tenido conocimiento por parte de la principal y ella no ha tomado seriedad en el asunto. O interés. En unos casos se habló con la principal y no hubo solución alguna, e incluso donde ni siquiera se siguió el caso, como el de mi hija, que le estuvieron haciendo bullying. Hablé con ella, no pasó 2 semanas, todavía no hablaba con los papás del niño. Entonces yo quiero saber cuánto mi hija tiene que seguir aguantando o a cuántos niños más tienen que seguir molestando para que ella haga algo. Le pregunté hace 2 semanas qué pasó con el caso de mi hija. Me dijeron, sinceramente no lo seguimos. Entonces, creo que es una respuesta muy tonta, pero lo hizo. Quiero saber qué tenemos que hacer. ¿Tenemos que esperar más casos o qué debemos hacer?
My name is Patricia. I'm a student at Levy Elementary School. I think that the school should be a safe place for our children, and it's not. There's been more than 15 cases lately of bullying in the school where I don't think that it's been acknowledged, but nothing has been done for lack of seriousness on the topic. In several cases, the principal was spoken to and there was no solution. And even in the case of my daughter, where the case was not continued to be studied. My daughter has been bullying, and I asked her about the situation, and 2 weeks later she said that she still hadn't spoken to the parents of the other student, which I thought was honestly a stupid or a bad response, that we hadn't continued to follow up on the case. I want to know how many more students have to continue suffering through this, or how much longer would my daughter have to suffer, how many more students would this have to happen to, and what are we going to do?
Thank you.
Next 3 speakers will be Gabriela Hernandez, Richard Newton, and Susan Coster. The next 3 will be Gabriela Hernandez, Richard Newton, and Susan Custer.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Gabriela y soy madre del estudiante Emiliano de Levy Elementary. Mi hijo el día 9 de octubre fue atacado por otro niño con una navaja facial de rasurar. Eso fue a las 8 de la mañana. principal me habló hasta la 1 de la tarde diciéndome que ya tenía el asunto resuelto y que no pasaba nada, que mi hijo estaba bien. Al verme tan preocupada, asistí a la escuela con mi esposo. No nos quería dar información, ni siquiera nos dijo qué tipo de navaja era, qué había pasado. Entonces yo pedí hablar con mi hijo me explicó todo, un niño lo atacó, lo llamó, sacó del bolsillo la navaja y le tiró con la navaja. Mi hijo se espantó, se hizo para atrás y detuvo la navaja, si no se la hubieran enterrado en el cuerpo. La principal está muy renuente, dice que todo era confidencial y que no nos tenía que dar información. Pido un reporte médico con la enfermera, nos entrega una carta donde dice que se le lavó con jabón y que mi hijo estaba bien. Ni siquiera había puesto con qué objeto se le había cortado ni cómo habían pasado las cosas. No le puso desinfectante. Nosotros estábamos muy preocupados si mi hijo podría agarrar una infección con esa navaja. No nos quiso dar información y entonces nosotros acudimos a un hospital para que le revisaran. La escuela Lily Elementary no es una escuela segura, estamos muy preocupados, no me han dado respuesta. El niño que hizo eso es violento, sigue estando en el salón de mi hijo, ha tenido, después de que atacó a mi hijo, le llamó a otro y también intentó cortarlo, pero no le hizo nada. Mi hijo sí recibió una cortadura en el dedo. Estoy muy preocupada, pedimos intervención porque la escuela Lily Elementary está saliendo de control. No hay seguridad, meten objetos peligrosos, hay un bullying tremendo, no hay actividades para que los niños se desarrollen sanamente y los niños están cometiendo travesuras muy graves. Pedimos la intervención porque la principal lo único se esconde y no quiere dar respuesta y no quiere que salga la información de la escuela, quiere ocultar las cosas. Gracias.
Good evening, my name is Gabriela, my son is Emiliano. On October 9th, he was attacked by another student with a blade from a razor. We talked to the principal about it and she said that the situation had been resolved. The other student went towards my son and he lifted up his hand and got caught on his finger. I was very concerned, so I went to the school with my husband to talk about it, but she didn't want to give any details. So if my son hadn't stepped back, he could have been cut in his body. The principal did not want to give information. She said that it was confidential. I asked for a medical report from the nurse, and all it said was that the area had been cleaned with soap. It didn't even say what object had been used to cut him or what had happened, and they didn't put disinfectant on the wound, and they didn't want to give more information. We were concerned about having an infection from this blade, so we took him to the doctor. Libya has become a school that is unsafe. This violent student is still in my son's classroom. He tried to cut another student. My son, it was his finger that got cut. We asked for an intervention. It's not safe. There's dangerous objects being allowed into the school. There's not activities to keep the kids healthily occupied in a healthy way. The students are doing mischievous things that are very serious, so we ask for intervention. When we try to speak to the principal, she hides or tries to hide this information.
When I was 5 years old, I was almost drowned in a river in Yosemite. A man I did not know pulled me from the river as I struggled to climb out of it on slippery rocks that I was unable to climb. I hope to do the same tonight, saving children I do not know. At last month's meeting, a woman stated how happy and proud she was that her child was the second in her family to transition. She also stated that there are 1.6 million trans people in America. I would add that that amounts to only 0.4% of the U.S. population. Moving on, I am holding a book first written by Charles Mackay in 1841 titled Extraordinary Popular Delusions and Madness of Crowds. I paraphrase from the opening that popular delusions spread so widely and lasted so long that 50 volumes on this great novel, Human Folly, would not be enough, and that yet which remains to be written. Some of his topics included the Mississippi Scheme, the South Sea Bubble, Tulip Mania, prophecies and fortune-telling, magnetizers and curing disease, witch hunts, slow poisoners, haunted houses, ordeals, and relics. What will they say in the future about a society that allowed young children to be permanently mutilated and left sterile simply to follow 0.4% of the population in this social fad? Let's add it to the list and let's call it transmania. What will any of you say when your children or grandchildren are old enough to come to you and ask, Mom or Dad, why did you let them cut off my penis or remove my breasts and leave me sterile? Your first job as a parent was to protect me from the dangers of this world, yet you betrayed me and sacrificed me on the altar of wokeism just so you could look cool for your friends. You failed me. Why didn't you protect me? And if you're lucky, they will simply conclude by saying that they will never forgive you. I also have here the November 21st Epic Times. From the front page, and I read the headline that parents' disorders are driving the surge in trans kids, according to psychiatrists. Transhausen by proxy describes narcissistic parents who may push transgenderism because they enjoy the attention of having a trans kid. And this may be contributing to the sudden rise of transgender children, according to some experts. The German people have been criticized and maligned for not risking their lives to free prisoners from concentration camps. What will the future think of you for remaining silent while young children are being mutilated and, in fact, supporting such actions simply so you can look woke, politically relevant, and employed, risking nothing more than a reasonable paycheck? Shame on all of you. I don't know how any of you can look yourself in the mirror. Cancer and lupus are diseases where the body attacks itself. Schizophrenia is a disease where the mind attacks itself. Gender dysphoria is a disease where the mind and body attack each other. Those suffering from this deserve our sympathy and compassion, but it is delusional and abusive to celebrate this happening to a young child, pushing them onto a path that contains so much pain and struggle. Do the right thing, push back on transmania, and resist the sacramental lunacy. Thank you. No, she's with me. I asked her to do it.
Good evening. Tonight I'm just going to read a few excerpts from articles that come from a Substack called... Anyway, from the first article by a father, an immense suffering accompanies my life every day, knowing that in a moment of psychological fragility, my daughter made a decision that will lead to irreparable damage to her healthy body, a decision that one day I am sure she will regret, a decision towards which she has been accompanied by people who know only the facade that she has built for herself, without investigating deeply what the facade has. And from another father, I cry everywhere I can be alone, or where no one can see me, and in places where I never cried before. When I weed our vegetable garden in the warm sun, I think of how much Ricky might love a slice of that juicy watermelon we are growing, and I weep. As I keep my hands busy building things around the house, I pause between power drill spins to sigh. When I go out for a jog, I occasionally choke up between breaths. On breaks while working, I stand, stretch, and sniffle. On long trips, while my wife dozes off, I tear up. Even on the beach where the two of us empty nesters go to relax, I cry. The beach is a place to swim, body surf, play silly beach games. Now I drop tears whenever my face is out of sight. I hope when you are encouraging and congratulating children on their decision to trans that you will start to think about the families and parents whose lives are destroyed. In the future, when many of these trans individuals are suffering from the side effects of cross-sex hormones or mutilated bodies, will you be there to support them, or will that fall to their heartbroken families? And from a third father. It's been about a year and a half since our daughter told us she was transgender, and it has not been an easy time. Watching your child go through something like this is incredibly hard. This is not something that happens one day and blows over. It's a struggle over an extensive period of time, and it can really wear you and your family down. In the transgender debate currently sweeping across America, everyone is focused on the trans kids and what treatments they should be allowed to have or not to have. No one can truly grasp the burden this places on a family. The cloud of darkness that you feel over your lives.
Thank you.
Knowing that your child hates
Thank you.
herself so much she will mutilate her body.
Our next speaker, last speaker, Maria Ashan.
Good evening, everybody. Dr. Vitale, board, staff. Thank you for having us up here tonight. My name is Maria Alsham. I'm the district social worker and LGBTQ youth liaison. And we just wanted to talk a little bit tonight about what our social work team has been doing so far this fall. We have one district social worker, so that's one staff member, and we have 5 MSW interns who will all provide between 500 and 650 hours of direct service this school year.
Hi everyone, my name is McKenna. I'm a social work intern from Cal State San Marcos in my Master's Social Work program. Since the beginning of the school year until now, we have had a total of 126 referrals. The largest reason for referrals being social emotional, then attendance, and others that are shown on the graph we have. As far as interventions provided since the beginning of the school year, the other social work interns and I have done 315 total interventions with students. The bulk of interventions include individual counseling, followed by caregiver contact, and others. We as interns are participating in macro projects, which include a weekend Food for Kids backpack program at Fusa Elementary School, pregnant and parenting teen support group for district students, and Returnal Roma attendance events for chronically absent students. I really enjoyed this school year so far. As a school social work intern, I find the collaboration between myself, the counselor, school administration, and teachers to be very beneficial for the students.
So just to be clear, just like school counselors, any students can come if we're on campus and they can find us and work with us. But if there's any ongoing work to be done, we always ask for parent permission before any kind of ongoing work continues. We do have our PPS credentials once we're credentialed in school social work, child welfare, and attendance. So attendance is something we spend a lot of time on. It's something I personally spent a lot of time on this year. You can see how important that is, and I'm really happy that we are spending so much time doing that because it's really important to get our kids back to school. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, we need to adjourn to closed session at 8:09. For those that wish to stay, we will be coming back to report out. Thank you all. Sorry. Thank you all for being here, and you all have a happy new year and happy holiday. Thank you.